let's just get started here. And then we'll get into a couple things. So today is August 20th, 2024. This is the Sidewalk and Safety Connectivity meeting. Present today are myself, Jay Pimpare, Julie Rollins, Frank Cicchetti, and Paul Grady. Absent are Bob, Tori, and Brian. I'm hoping that Brian comes on here soon enough because he's the one that's going to give us a little bit of an update on what's happening. So I'll just chime in and say it doesn't really affect this crowd because you've already submitted the application. So thank you. The select board was asking for, or the town was asking for the applications to be completed. Three of you have already completed those. The other person is Tori. So there are 5 people who have submitted those applications. Paul, I looked on the agenda tonight and it doesn't say anything about the sidewalk committee as far as appointments go. I don't know if that got pushed off for another couple of weeks. But I just did want to throw. Go ahead.
It shouldn't, Jay. I'll bring it up because I will put that, I'll talk to Ellen. But it shouldn't. We just wrapping up the appointments, thank goodness.
Yeah. Let me, where am I here? Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this was the agenda for tonight, and I didn't see it appointments. So Elders, Harbor, Recycling, CPC, and I didn't see us on there. So that's fine.
That's Jay. I apologize because that's simply an oversight.
Yeah, I don't think you can vote on it if it's not on the agenda. So that's fine. My comment was going to be that if we only have 5 applications, that it would be totally fine. I would support just having 5 people because we can easily find 3 of the 5, hopefully, fingers crossed, to get an agenda together. We usually have at least 3 staples here. So 3 people would be a quorum if we had 5 versus like today, kind of waiting around for that 4th person to come in. So that's just my comment, and I'll bring that up to Ellen in an email.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So I don't have. So I guess with an update, like everybody knows, if you've been around town, Beechwood is being paved, Pond Street is being paved, South Main is being paved. I think Pond Street is furthest along, and that it has a top coat on it, and it looks pretty nice. Beechwood still has, I believe, the top coat still has to go on, and South Main Street, the top coat still has to go on. There has not been any work on the sidewalks, as from what I understand, the sidewalks are done after, which I'm a little confused. I was hoping to get a little bit more of an update from Brian. Obviously, I know there's the big push to get Pond Street done in the next week and a half, 2 weeks here. School starts, exactly 2 weeks from today. So the weather looks great for the rest of the week, and going into next week, I don't know what the update is from Brian in the town. I was hoping to get that, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So that's all. Yeah.
Hey Jay, it's Julie. I did notice as I was driving along Pond Street that on the side of the school, there's a very small section where I saw some town employees digging away at the earth and paving a small section of sidewalk. So it looks like they did do some sort of addition of sidewalk in one small section. I didn't notice if it was elsewhere on Pond Street, but I thought that was good to see that at least the sidewalk on that stretch is continuous.
I did, yeah, I did see that, and I also saw in front of the school, a couple of the areas on South Main Street where there were large trees and there were roots that really kind of messed up the pavement or the sidewalk. So they cut it all out, and it was open for about a week or 2, and then it was patched in, so it looks okay. But it was my impression that the full sidewalk is being ripped up.
Oh, so, got it.
Yeah. that was my interpretation, and like the same thing with Beechwood. So I don't know, were others under that same impression that there was, I mean,
I was.
not a full
Yeah.
sidewalk with a curb, but the sidewalk was going to be fully laid over.
That's what I understood too. Yep.
Yes, me
Yeah.
too.
Okay,
That
all
makes
right.
all of us.
So, all right, well, those were some of the questions I had for Brian. The two other things I did want, and unfortunately he's not on, so I'll have to email him for an update. That's unfortunate because that was really the big ticket item here for our meeting. The other thing, which can you see my screen with the Sharrow distance here?
No, we're just seeing the select board agenda still.
Yep.
Oh, all right, hold on. How about now?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So this was the Sharrows that were mapped out, and just to confirm, Frank, the Beach Street, this is one way. Beach Street, we
Yeah.
were looking at Sharrows, we were looking at streets in the town that could benefit from the road Sharrows that are along Elm Street with the like the bike and the arrow type of a thing. And so I put up some roadways that were discussed at the last meeting. Beach Street, and Frank confirmed that was 0.6 miles one way.
That's one way. Yep.
All right, great. So I mapped out Jerusalem Road from North Main Street down to where it hits Atlantic down by the ocean there. That's 1.1 miles. And then Jerusalem Road that carries from Atlantic down to the Hull line. That was an additional 1.9 miles. And then Atlantic Ave was proposed, and that was from Elm Street to where it connects into Jerusalem Road, was 2 miles long. And then we had King Street from 3A out to Beechwood, and that was 1.2 miles. So adding that, were there any other roadways? We kind of ate up the whole budget here, but were there any other roadways that were major areas of importance?
I think those are your key travel points.
Okay. And honestly, these showers are so cheap that next year, there's no reason why we couldn't expand this list and do others.
Yeah. Jay, I
Like-
was just wanting to point out that the King Street to 3A to Beechwood is 1.2, but if we wanted to do both directions, then that would be 2.4. I wasn't sure if you were
Yep.
planning to multiply that by 2 or not. Oh, if we want them in 2 directions.
Yeah, no, I did. So just jumping down to the next line, so.
Oh, you did it
it's-
already. Sorry.
And so it's 6.8 miles total. When you multiply that times 2, because yes, completely agree, we would do both sides of the road. The 6.8 becomes 13.6.
Right.
And then at 5280 feet per mile, we're looking at about 72,000 linear feet. And at 300 feet per Sharrow, that comes out to about 240 Sharrows. 300 might be stretching it, but like where there's a long stretch of roadway, 300 feet is more than enough on Atlantic Ave. And maybe this stretch of Jerusalem here, 300 feet is more than enough. There might be other areas where you could probably even go a little longer and maybe tighten it up to 250 in some areas. Elm Street, I think we did a little over 200, but it started to curve a little bit. Anyway, just using those rough numbers, came out to about 240 Sharrows. In the 2004 plan, we allocated for 272 Sharrows, and we only used 20 of them at Elm Street. So 20 plus our roughly 240 allocated, we're about 260. So we've allocated all of that. Did my screen just change?
Nope.
Yeah.
Same.
Damn. All right. So let me go back. So anyway, that's kind of where we are. I think we've hitting those, using those 1, 2, 3, 4 streets. the heavy hitters there, we would have allocated all of the sharrows for the year. And again, was hoping to get this from Brian, when they start to do the striping, because the striping will need to be done on Pond Street, and is what I understand, before school starts, they would just do the sharrows at the same time. So I know that probably somebody from the committee's not going to be out there when they're doing these sharrows. Maybe we could try and figure that out. I don't know if we, I don't think we wanna walk it all, 13.6 miles, and show Brian where we want all the sharrows, but I think we just have to use best practical, just best judgment here with the town and where they put them based on roughly 250 give or take feet. That's just my take on it.
I think that sounds fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would like to get this to Brian. Are we all in agreement here with these
Yeah.
streets?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
and we would do both ways. So Beach, Jerusalem, Atlantic, and King Street. Okay. Right. Okay. That's really it for the sharrows. I'd like to put the sharrows behind us and just continue to have Brian keep giving us updates. I did want to share, if I could again.
Jay, could you send me that sheet with the sharrows on it?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
What am I trying to do here? Trying to share. All right, let's see if I can do this. Trying to share my entire screen. I've got to do it one by one. The only other thing that I think, can you see this road plan?
I can see it, but it's really small. Let me
Yep.
see.
All right, hold on. How's that?
Yay. Yep.
Okay, so with this plan here, this was the plan that DPW had put together that we were kind of working off of.
Mhm.
And one thing I did want to circle back, and I keep forgetting what the status is of this, the Pond Street here from 3A to King Street. And then
Are you talking about the sidewalk study, Jay?
no, this is just the road plan. So these are the roads, like Green has already been done. Okay, Green was done in 2023. And the yellow was being done this year. And the purple was being done this year. I guess I can change that to purple. If it has a shade outside of this light blue, then it's already been done. Okay, like
I have a
Mill
couple-
Lane's been done, Smith Place, Cushing, Atlantic, Margin, Elm were all done last year. Beechwood is being done right now. Doan was done, Church done, and then South Main Street all done. So
Hey, Jay,
yeah,
Pond Street Extension is shaded, but hasn't been done and it was scheduled for this year. See Pond Street Extension? So that's the little stretch of roadway that we had a lot of discussion around.
Yeah.
It is, not the road between King and the water treatment plant, but the one that runs, that we've sent pictures to Tori and I of, we've sent to the group. It is the crumbling pathway or roadway, if you want to call it that, that runs alongside King Street, right in front of the water treatment plant. It would be a safe place for people to walk, in a very dangerous section of King Street. And
yeah,
I do think it would be really beneficial for this neighborhood if that could get repaved.
yeah.
Julie,
So
didn't
But it's red.
yeah,
Julie, didn't we talk to Brian about that? It used to
I
be a
thought-
walkway. We did
Yeah.
talk to him. Yes, we
Well,
did.
so we did talk about it. So there's two different things. So there's the boardwalk or walkway area that we're thinking about doing, possibly depending on the engineering plans, but that's on Pond Street. So this area is it's called the Pond Street Extension, but it's actually a path that runs along King Street. And it feeds into the water treatment plant, but it would allow people
Yeah.
to safely walk along King. So it's not Pond
Yeah, no,
Street, but it's King, right? And yeah, we did
no, I
talk
know.
about it. And I
We
thought we
did talk
were,
about that because
yeah, I thought
Brian
we were
had,
gonna do it.
yeah, I have to agree with that.
Okay, so I just wanted to point out that it's red, and I'm not sure
Yeah.
what red means. I just didn't want us to forget about it.
Yeah,
Um,
well, no, that's what I was actually, I was getting at. I don't want us to forget about any of that. And I don't know why I put it in red, but I think I put it in red because that was like a red flag that we want to address immediately.
Oh, okay,
And
great, great.
and like,
Okay.
so I need to change like these greens or yellows all to one solid color now that South Main Street is done as well. But I wanted to flag that, and I also wanted to flag like some of these other streets that were 2024, like James, Spring, and Doan, some of these that didn't get done, what's going to happen? If you look at next year, 2025, and we come down and the budget is 2.2 million. However, South Main Street from Beechwood down to Summer at 411,000 is pretty much already been done. So some of that's gonna come off, but it's still a pretty big ticket at $2.2 million.
Yeah, my bias would be to say, since we didn't get Pond Street between 3A and King done in 2022 or 23, won't be done in 2024. I'm hoping it's done in 2025 after the engineering plan, we figure out the sidewalks, but right, you guys may have noticed that National Grid and Riley Brothers have been on our
Yeah.
section of Pond Street and my road, Hugh Strain Road, for the last 6 weeks. And it looks like an absolute war zone. And
Yeah.
we cannot let it go beyond
Right.
2025 for paving. So my bias would be to say, we need to make sure Pond with that sidewalk happens in 2025. And if some of these other things that were initially scheduled for 2025, 4 or 5 years ago, when this was initially made, they may have to get bumped down, especially since I don't think some of them are really in that bad a shape. But I haven't gone to look at them myself, so I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying things may have to slide down a little bit when we're considering Pond Street between 3A and King with that sidewalk.
Question on that though,
Yeah.
Julie.
Yeah,
I know they're tearing the heck out of it. Now, isn't National Grid, if they're doing any work on the roads and sidewalks, they're responsible for repair and
yes,
replacement, aren't they? So that
yes,
should save our budget. That should save our budget.
it should,
Uh,
it should. So they should
so
be paying, I think, to pay
Right.
for paving on Pond and also on Hugh Strain Road, which is a road I live on. They dug up a trench the entire stretch of the road and then a whole bunch of other areas in the cul-de-sac. And they're also doing it in the intersection and a little bit in each direction on King Street at the intersection. So
I've
they
seen this.
should be giving plenty of money towards paving. I just don't know how much that would be and how much it'll offset our budget, but that's a really good point, Paul, that we should get some money coming in for that.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that, and I think you're both correct in that historically that's how it's been done, and I think that's unfortunately one of the reasons why it was delayed because of the utility work that was being done out there.
Yeah.
I'm assuming and hoping that when they were all said and done out there, they will at least like lay a little bit of a patch to cover it. But like has happened on Beechwood, unfortunately, when they lay that patch, they really want to let it sit for a winter
Yes,
and then let it all settle out. So in the springtime or next summer, it's ready to go. Because if you pave it now, you'll see that settling through the whole way in the
right,
springtime.
of course, of course. So I was, yeah, expecting that all to happen in 2025, and I'm hopeful that the sidewalk plan and the money will be there to do that sidewalk between 3A and King. So
Yeah.
2025 works out great in terms of the patches settling. They've done a nice job patching as well as they could have done.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it definitely will
Yeah.
need a fresh.
Oh, absolutely. So, again, you know, these are set, and I appreciate bringing this all up. These are some of the things that I just really want to stay on top of Brian with and just get updates as we go along. So what I would like to do is spend the next, maybe not today, but the next couple of meetings in trying to figure out what should be on the hit list for 2025, and not look at 2025, but look back at things like 2022, 23, and 24, which were not done for whatever reason, and then push those to 2025, and some of the stuff on 2025 will just have to be moved to somewhere else. So that's all. So like for the next meeting, let's make it a to-do to try and look. I don't know, Frank, I think a lot of this is in your area, or maybe it's in Bob's area, Atlantic and Howard Gleason. Was that all your area for our little overview?
Yes, yeah, Atlantic was, yep.
I drive that
Black
road
Horse,
quite a
no.
bit, but
Yeah, same, yeah. Yeah, no, a lot of that is, I don't even know where Bayberry is. Black Horse, I think that's was Bob's area. Same with Spring.
all right.
Do
Well,
inspections.
Yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
could look back at our recommendations that we put
Mhm.
together. You know how everyone had their own tab on the
Yeah.
spreadsheet? Maybe at the next meeting, we could look at each tab and compare it with these roads to see whether or not any of them really stood out as needing work right away.
Yeah. And I'm happy to kind of write this. I mean, you could probably take it 20 minutes to ride this area. If you go for a joyride and just kind of look around and see where these roadways are. Looks like, again, you know, Beechwood has already been hit, so that can come off. That's almost, well, according to this, almost 2 miles. I don't think it's that long, but anyway.
Oh, wow, you
Yeah.
mean for 2026?
No, 2025, I'm in South Maine. Just looking at 2025, looking at all of these, I don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned Beechwood and I didn't see Beechwood. Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry, that was my
it
mistake.
says South Main Street between Beechwood and Summer.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
and I think that that's already been done.
yeah.
It has.
Yeah,
Oh, I
so, you know,
see. Got it.
there's a ticket that'll come right off right away.
Wow, great.
I do know
I'll
that
fix
at
that.
Black Rock or Black Horse, they are doing, there's been a lot of planning board activity with that, some
Yeah,
sort of.
I
And
know,
also
yeah, right,
Howard
you're right,
Gleason.
there's a lot of construction up there.
Black Horse,
So
yeah.
that's, yeah, and they want to connect it. There's been some fights over some certain things. And again, I'm probably being unclear and not intentionally, but, and also I
Okay.
understand that someone wanted to tear down up at Howard Gleason as well. So maybe that has some bearing on it.
Yeah, all good to, and I think that this plan was put together like 3 or 4 years ago, so a lot of things change as time goes on. And it might be just good to get a total revision of this. This isn't PDF, so I can't do anything with it other than highlight it and change it. But perhaps maybe we could get a revised plan from Brian in a better format, maybe in like an Excel spreadsheet so we can move it around and whatnot. But otherwise, we're just hacking this up, and I'll continue to hack it up and change the colors on a few different things. But for our next meeting, can we just look at the 2025 list here and see what truly should be proposed? And by like maybe the end of October or November timeframe, maybe like November 1st, to try and set a deadline on our proposal with our lovely 800 to maybe $1 million, 800,000 to $1 million, and see what roadways can really be done. Don't pay any attention to the 2.2 million over here, because that's the number that that was a rough number. The actual real quotes are coming in at about 60% of that number. So it's probably down more like 1.3 million, somewhere in there.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean that is good news, but every year things change. look, the cost of doing business just increases year to year. So it's tough to forecast something like 3 or 4 years ago to what it's gonna cost in today's numbers, right?
Right.
If we only
Yes,
knew.
Jay,
that-
great idea for our next meeting is to take a hard
Okay.
look at 2025 and reconfigure this a little bit.
All right, great. Having said that, if we go like 2 weeks from now, that brings us into the first week of September. I know all the kids are back in school. I'm sure everybody's happy about that to get the kids out of the house.
That'll be the day after Labor Day.
Yeah, let's not do that quite that fast. How about does Wednesday work, the 4th?
Let me just check my work calendar.
Wednesday, the 4th, I say noontime. I could do really anytime. I just figured noon was a lunch hour and it didn't interfere with people's work schedules.
That's fine, it doesn't have to be. Mr.
I
House.
can do noon on the 4th if that works for others.
That's fine.
Yep. Works
All
for
right.
me.
All right, let's have Carol, if you could, you can just use the same update as we used today.
Okay,
We're just gonna keep going with that agenda. It's really just a DPW update, and then we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. Yeah, so let's go with September 4th at noontime for our next meeting.
okay.
That would be great. And again, we'll focus in on the 2025 plan, and I'll send a message to Brian and try and get more of an update. And I'll confirm the sidewalk stuff, and I'll send a message to the whole group.
Sounds good.
And
All
you'll
right,
send me, you'll send me that list, the
Yeah, I'm gonna
showers?
send that to you now. Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else have comments?
No, I think we're good.
All right, motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Fantastic. All right, enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thanks so
Talk
much.
to you
You
soon.
guys
Yeah,
too.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, no,